The 2024 NFL Draft is just 20 days away, less than 3 weeks away, which means it's time to focus on the 18th pick. Can the Bengals get instant impact in round one? Let's discuss that and more right now on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Hi again, everyone, and welcome into CBT. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. Make sure you check out Enter the Jungle this week. Andrew and I discussed all things NFL Draft because 3 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, we will know who the Bengals have selected in round one, whether it's at pick 18, whether they move up like some of you want, whether they move back or stand pat, which is obviously the most likely scenario. We are almost there, Bengals fans. And there was a question that we got during our Locked On Bengals mailbag this week from my guy, Dean Merritt. And he's someone I met during the Bengals Super Bowl run and in Los Angeles during the Super Bowl, and is someone that is a really, really big Bengals fan, listener of Locked On Bengals. And he, at DD Merritt on Twitter, mentioned the impact of first-round picks or lack thereof for the Bengals. And he said the Bengals have struggled to see big impacts and snaps from first-round picks. And he asked about the first 3 picks this year, but I just wanted to focus on the Bengals' first rounder in instant impact, because outside of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, the Bengals haven't gotten instant impact out of these guys. Tyler Eifert, 673 snaps. Outside of that, it's Billy Price with 558 as the most if you're not named Jamar Chase or Joe Burrow. And Joe got hurt and missed a lot of time his rookie year, missed 6 games, 7 games, something like that, and got hurt in November. And so despite that, it's Eifert third, Billy Price fourth, and Myles Murphy fifth with 305 snaps. That's not enough. You need more impact. And so I'm with you, Dustin. I totally agree here that this needs to happen. And let's start with the likelihood of it happening. Offensive tackle and defensive tackle. Those are the 2 favorites. And when you talk about instant impact, those are the 2 areas the Bengals could certainly use a guy from a need standpoint. Now, the Bengals offensive line from a starting job standpoint is set. The defensive line from a starting job standpoint is set. People will argue that, but BJ Hill and Sheldon Rankins are going to start, even if they take Johnny Newton, even if they take Byron Murphy. I'd be surprised if those guys got starting level snaps, but that's okay because there's rotations. And that's the element here that I think is interesting when it comes to defensive line. It's pretty simple. If you want that instant impact, the guy might play 300 snaps. And if he does and would be on track to, that doesn't mean he's going to make a huge impact. Myles Murphy played 305 snaps last year. Did you notice 305 snaps? I think Myles is going to be a really good player. The point is just because you play a certain number of snaps doesn't mean your impact is felt. And so I think defensive line is one of those from an instant impact this year standpoint. It's pretty low on the list. I think cornerback, unless they come in and are starting day one, and there's a chance that that happens if they took a corner, but there's a chance that they're the third outside corner because DJ Turner has taken a step forward and because Cam Taylor-Britt is Cam Taylor-Britt. And so if that's the case and you're the third guy, well, you're going to play a decent amount. You're going to get snaps, but the impact might not be felt the same way you're hoping it is right now. And so when I think of impact, I think offensive tackle could have a huge impact, and I think Brock Bowers could have a huge impact. Those are the ones that, to me, not wide receiver, not some of these other positions, dark horses, not defensive end, certainly, because it's a really crowded room. I would be surprised if they drafted a defensive end. I mean, Myles Murphy's ahead of that defensive end. And so how many snaps would that D end even get? Not a ton, especially if Murphy takes a step forward, which I expect him to. And so I think offensive tackle is pretty simple. Trent Brown has an injury history. Injuries happen on the offensive line all the time. And if you get an Amarius Mims who visited, if you get a Troy Fuatanu who visited, if you get Taliese Fuaga who visited, okay. I think any of those guys, and it's Taliese, I think. Either way, Fuaga, these guys are going to be able to give you what you need in a sense that even if they're not starting, they're that backup tackle, probably backup swing tackle. And maybe they come in and beat out Trent Brown. Are we sure Troy Fuatanu can't do that? We talked about his fit the other day. Are we sure Amarius Mims wouldn't come in and just hit the ground running and beat out Trent Brown? He might, and he might not. J.C. Latham might not. Fuatanu might not. Fuaga might not. And that's okay too. Fuatanu, by the way, Olu Fuatanu, Penn State, who's a great pass protector. And yeah, I think that he could. And so that's what's interesting to me is I don't know how many snaps that player would get on offensive line. And he might not get a ton if they are able to stay healthy. But there is an impact there. And the impact is having a quality option. If they get the pick right, having a quality option in the chamber, so to speak, to unleash if there are injuries that happen. And they do happen to teams that go on deep playoff runs. Of course, we've seen that firsthand. But to me, the guy that's going to impact the game more than anyone else from a rookie standpoint, it's Brock Bowers. And people are going to be like, oh my God, you and Brock, but whatever, man. I think he would make an instant impact. Tyler Eifert played 673 snaps as a rookie. 673. That's with Jermaine Gresham still on the roster. And so I think that we could easily see, and I get it, that was over a decade ago. It's a different NFL. Yeah, it's a different NFL, which means Brock Bowers is going to thrive in this league. I think he's such a threat, such a weapon. I think we would see him not only meet the snap count, but meet the impact meter. And I don't think of him as being, remember when Tyler Eifert was a rookie? I think of, remember when Jamar Chase was a rookie. Jamar played 1,187 regular season snaps. Jamar Chase was awesome, as you know, and from the jump. Was it rocky in training camp? Yeah, he had taken a year off. And so there was an adjustment period, but boom, week one, you saw it. I think you would see it right away with Brock Bowers. And you could say, oh, well, that's easier at skill spots or at a position like tight end. It's really not. Tight ends usually take time to blossom. I have a feeling Brock Bowers in this offense, if he goes somewhere else, if he goes to Denver, it's probably going to take some time because you never know who's going to throw in the ball, all of those things. Coming to Cincinnati, I think it's instant impact. I think he makes a huge impact and has a huge role on offense, as would the offensive lineman. So D-end, not going to give you that instant impact. Wide receiver, I think it could on day two, but as a first-round receiver, I don't think it's going to give you that instant impact you're looking for unless something serious goes wrong in that room, which we don't even want to discuss, injury-wise, of course. And then defensive tackle, yeah, there will be an impact, but I don't think the instant impact will happen unless that player is just a game wrecker, game changer. And maybe they view Johnny Newton that way or Byron Murphy that way. And if so, then they should take him because it is hard to find those type of game wrecking guys. I'm not sure Byron Murphy is this game wrecker, so to speak. I think Johnny Newton might be better, even though I think the NFL is higher on Byron Murphy. We have a ton of draft coverage coming your way, a ton. And regardless of who the Bengals pick, we're going to be covering it right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and until next time, for Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching Cincinnati Bengals Talk.